Things turn out best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out. Hello and welcome to Mindfully Thrive with me, your host, Ella Humphreys. This is the podcast that celebrates the present, the joy in where we are, the journey it's taken to get here, and the ability to see our greatness for the future. We celebrate female founders, adventure seekers, and creative entrepreneurs who are building their dreams alongside raising babies and any other life commitments that can so easily distract us from the path we truly desire. This is a podcast about coming back to who we are in this life, and that our dreams, goals and ambitions are valid and possible, while also being a loving and present parent. This week's quote by John Wooden is a favourite of my guest today. She is Francesca Geens, the creator of the Happy Self Journal, a daily wellness journal for children of all ages, and coming out this week an adult version too. They are now sold in more than 150 countries. Francesca lives in Kent with her husband and 2 children. She launched the Happy Self Journal in August 2018. Launching an online shop and an Instagram account. It snowballed, and within a few months they got picked up by London department store Liberty. By 2019, with sales going through the roof, she realised she had a new full-time career. I'm very excited to share this conversation with you today as Francesca shares the inspirational journey to her 4th edition, launching the Happy Self Journal for adults this week. I hope you enjoy it. Hi Francesca, welcome to Mindfully Thrive.
Hi there, it's so lovely to be here.
I'm so glad we've been able to find this moment of time for us to be able to connect finally. I always start with 3 questions for my guests. What are you grateful for today?
Oh, that's a lovely question, and that's on every page of our journal. So it's one I love answering. I tend to do it at the end of the day, but if I think about today in particular, definitely because it's half-term week, and so I'm kind of working, but I've got the kids at home, and I'm just really grateful that I've got that flexibility to make the days work for me. Today, I was actually just really appreciating the bird song. I don't know if it's the weather or spring, but there's amazing bird song at the moment. I was also very grateful for a slight lie-in this morning because we had no school run, which normally means quite an early start for us. So I was very happy to get up a bit later today.
Lots of things. And what does thrive mean for you?
Thrive, I think that's a lovely word. To me, it kind of projects something about positive growth and change, but it also makes me think about the environment that allows for something to thrive or not to thrive. And I think it's both about cultivating the right environment for thriving, but also I think there's the opportunity to adapt so that you can thrive despite there being challenges. So yeah, it's a cool word.
And how does an ideal morning look in your life?
Oh, there's a very big difference between an ideal morning and a realistic morning. I could describe an ideal morning, and that would go something like, I've slept really well and I can get up at the early time that I want to get up and do some exercise in the morning before the house wakes up. And I'd do some exercise, I'd have some quiet time, I'd have a cup of tea, I'd probably do a bit of reading or morning journaling, and then kids would wake up and kind of start the day and kind of get into the whole kind of kids work side of things. I suppose the ideal morning would be about carving out time for myself. This doesn't always happen, but I've become good at finding that time in other parts of the day just to allow for everything else that happens.
Wonderful. So you have 2 children, and you've built this baby business that's now growing into something phenomenal called the Happy Self Journal. Could you introduce that journal in your own words? What's the real message behind your brand?
So Happy Self is all about bringing positive habits to our children so that they can learn about those and kind of embed them in the early years, and that they will hopefully serve them for life. So it was all about bringing science of happiness and these lovely science-backed simple practices like gratitude and kindness and kind of just time to reflect, and bring that into kind of an offline space, so on paper, and that, you know, bringing that to our children as a kind of daily journaling practice. That's kind of what was driving me.
And how long has the Happy Self Journal as a physical product been available?
Yeah, so we will be celebrating our 3rd birthday in August, which is amazing.
Congratulations.
So yeah, we launched in August 2018.
Wow. And it's growing. You've come out with different versions, different age ranges, and you're just launching an adult version?
We are. So last year was super busy. We managed to launch a teen edition. And then more recently this year, we launched My First Journal. So it's going to the earlier kind of age group. And then next week, we're launching our grown-up edition. So we'll have family journaling ages 3 to whatever covered within the next few weeks.
That's fantastic. And how did you, because obviously this began as an idea, because I am a mindfulness teacher and an instructor. I teach at schools, and I teach that age range, well, from 5-year-olds all the way up to primary, end of primary at the moment, to 11-year-olds, 12. We talk about mindfulness, kindness, gratitude, all those different things, the emotions, but you actually took it further to create the product. How difficult was that for that process of taking those ideas and then just continuing to develop them into a final product?
I think for me, that's the favorite part for me. I think that whole, not just creating the brand, so like the look and feel, but actually deciding like, how do you bring this to a page? And I think that was the challenge because, I mean, it seems to me like as an adult, a lot of adults spend their adult years trying to, you know, improve themselves or embed the right habits. And it can be easy to kind of forget the good things that you intend to do because life is really busy. And sometimes we just need a really gentle little prompt and a little reminder and that just piece of time to do that. And so that's why the journal kind of brings all of this together. And so we had a really great time with our designer to look at the page layout. And that's kind of one of my favorite parts. Just the page had to work for the user and had to work to deliver what we wanted to deliver, but we also wanted to be quite fun, quite lighthearted. We wanted to be enough variety so that not all the pages were the same, but there is a structure underlying it. And so we did it with the initial one, the junior one that we launched with, we kind of went through many iterations and many kind of testing booklets went out to kids. And then we'd come back and we'd see, like, what did they fill out? What did they not fill out? Like, where did they run out of space? And what are they doodling, or how are they using the page? And making sure that we use the surface of the paper to, you know, to really maximize how the children can interact with it.
So from the very beginning, did you feel like the designer, you needed to take a designer on board to make it work?
For a very brief phase, I thought that I could bring the designer on and kind of get her to create a framework, and that I would somehow then learn how to use
Adapt.
Photoshop or whatever tool, and that I would then, because I had no budget, this was the problem. I thought, well, we'll do it that way. And obviously, as soon as we did that and I downloaded the software I needed to use, I was like, this is not,
No way.
this is not going to happen. And also I thought, well, I can't be investing so much time and energy into a product, which is obviously going to be a physical product, which is going to be printed, which is going to be sold. And to me, the absolute most important thing was that it looked and felt absolutely beautiful and professional, and that the design is part of how the child will engage with it. So quickly, the designer became an absolute core part of the process and the team, and we've worked together ever since. And she's absolutely amazing, and has just brought so much, of her kind of talent. And she literally she's taken what's in my head and put it onto paper in ways that I could never have done myself. So it's a really lovely relationship.
I mean, it's a really beautiful design because it feels really simple and clear and clean, and the message is really easy to see. Yeah, it's really attractive and inviting too. So I really love the designs and the simplicity, but the thoughtfulness of it all.
And simple things are often the hardest.
Yes, this is true. What did life for you look like prior to the Happy Self Journal?
So before, my husband and I were each running our own business, and obviously we had 2 kids. So actually it was quite a busy, full-on family life situation. I was running kind of productivity consultancy. My husband was running a tech consultancy. And to be honest, I didn't really have the time to work on this side project, but it kind of came to me, and I felt really strongly inside that I wanted to try this. The kind of entrepreneur in me came out, and because even though I'd been running my own business, I'd always kind of felt like it wasn't quite the right thing for me. I was like, always like to say like, oh, I'm the reluctant business owner. And like, but when I came across the journal idea, I was like, no, this is an idea I want to try and take to market. And as soon as I pitched it to the kids, they loved it. Which in a way was good, because there were many moments along the process where I was literally just like too tired, no time, like really no budget. Why am I doing this? Will anyone even buy it? Type moments. And the kids were so enthusiastic. They literally kept me going. And because I promised them, I was like, okay, I will take this to market, and you will see what happens when you have an idea and you try and turn it into a product. And this is the entrepreneurial journey. Even to the point where my daughter, I took her to all the initial meetings with our designer where we were talking about the brand we wanted to create, and that whole process that the designer took us through. And so it was important for me to engage her in that process so she could see how you do that. How do you actually end up creating something?
And they are your target market. You had your children there to guide you and assist you in creating the ideal.
Pigs.
Yeah.
They are my guinea pigs. And my daughter, she's now 15. So really the drive to create the teen journal was born out of me seeing her outgrow what we had created, what she helped create. She very quickly outgrew it soon after launch, and I could see that. And so it was very interesting because she'd filled out so many of the junior journals, and she was kind of, growing up. I could use her and talk to her and involve her in the process. Okay, so what don't you want? What do you need more of? What do you need to change? How are we going to turn this concept into something that teens want to engage with? And so the teen journal, completely different look and feel, but still the same simple page structure. But just, it feels much more grown up.
And the feeling of as an entrepreneur and creating a product, is that very different than to the business that you had previous to that? Was it a product-based business?
It's so different. No, I was selling a service before. So the business before was a service-based business. And in many ways, you're selling yourself, right? Because you work direct one-to-one with clients. I always found that really hard. It's really hard selling a service. And I love selling a product.
But you love, and that
it's like
Yeah, you're
And
passionate
it's so
about
very
it.
personal.
Yeah.
It's literally part of my heart and soul, but it's like, it's a product. Like, we send an actual product to people and they use it, and it sits on their bedside table. And I love that idea of a business where it's an actual physical product. So I'm much more aligned. I don't know why. It just vibes with me more, this type of business.
And so right now, do you have a bigger team than you initially did, or were you still able to work the designer and yourself? And how does your team look right now?
Yeah, we've luckily been able to grow the team, because it got to the point where, I mean, I just obviously couldn't do it all by myself. So initially when we started, it was literally me and the designer. And then as soon as the product was printed, it was just me. I had them all at home, and I would literally package and ship them all out myself and drive to the post office. And I got to the point where there was too much. And so my husband, highly paid IT consultant, would sit in between his like client work and like box up the journals. And it got to the point where the post would come and pick up at home. And then it got to the point where, even with his help and the kids, literally my hands were bleeding and we could not ship enough journals. So step one was moving everything to a warehouse, which was amazing. So that all the orders went to the warehouse, they held the stock and they sent it out. And that freed up a huge amount of time for us to then think about, oh, we have time to create another product, or to think about adding colors, or all this stuff that had just not been able to happen. And so for a long time, it was literally then me, my husband, the warehouse, the designer, as and when we needed her. But like, if we look at it now, so in the last year, we've brought on a logistics manager, because we now work with 3 warehouses and we have many different products. So making sure that we don't run out of stock and that the right stock arrives in the right place, we needed someone who just did that. We have a project manager now who helps us make sure that all the things we want to do are actually, everybody knows what they're doing and it's timeline, and there is an actual plan, which we didn't necessarily have before. And, you know, our designer, we, you know, in her team, there are our website developers. We obviously then have our accountants to support us. We have customer service. We have 2 people helping with customer service and like comments on social media, and making sure that people who have problems with their orders, that gets looked after. So it's really grown, and we still don't have enough people helping. So it's an
That's
amazing
wonderful.
challenge.
It's a good sign.
It's hard. It is a good sign, but it's stuff that you need to figure out that you don't necessarily have experience in, and that's hard as well.
And what about the side of social media? Because I feel like sometimes you're building a business, like kind of from a perspective of someone who doesn't have a product, but the need to be on social media and the dependency of that. How does that feel from a mindful, like personal perspective for you? Were you someone who was always on social media? Did you find it a comfortable place to be?
No, I have a real love-hate relationship with it. So no, I personally am very much a kind of minimal social media person. I wouldn't, if I didn't have the business, I would have a personal account and I'd dip in and out of it, and I wouldn't really feel the need to share, and I'd share occasionally and connect with friends and family and stuff. So for the business, I've had to step out of my comfort zone and to like share the business journey and the product and engage with our community. And on the one hand, it's amazingly powerful, and I'm very grateful for it, because we launched with 0 audience, and Instagram became my community and family of people engaging with this product, and our first buyers, and the feedback and this lovely support that you'd have. And the people I'm in touch with there have grown with us. And I'm in touch with so many amazing small businesses, and it's incredibly supportive and incredibly positive. And for that, I absolutely love it. And it's essential as a global shopfront to shout about our product. But yes, on the flip side, I do find it hard because I don't outsource that. So I'm the one who's doing those posts. It can be hard. Engagement's really hard. We do run a lot of paid ads, and that pays off. And so then the organic ads, it's really hard to get engagement. I don't really have that much time for it. I probably could I mean,
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to do it so much, all of that. And, we encourage mindfulness and screen-free time. And so I don't want to be on there shouting
No.
the whole time about stuff on socials as well. So I'm like really mindful about all of these things.
And coming back to your children, did you find that they were naturally drawn to use it themselves? Or do you see? You talked about your daughter filling out quite a few of them herself. I suppose it depends on the individual child, but is there a sense of needing to use it in your family because it's your product, or is it something really organically?
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big believer that the behaviors we display ourselves are the ones that our children will be drawn to try out for themselves. And certainly before we launched, I would be journaling myself, and I noticed this was one of the drivers to kind of create the products, as my daughter was starting to want to journal herself too, but she would just use a blank notebook because there weren't any kind of products on the market for her. And a blank page, I've never managed to journal with a blank page. And so I felt like, okay, she definitely wants to do this, but there isn't really the right thing for her. So that was one thing. My son as well, he enjoys using it, and I do it with him, which is kind of part of the process that I like very much. I mean, it's the same with mindfulness. That's, again, that's something that me and my husband do, and we're quite open for the kids to try. And so, for example, my daughter, it's not something that she necessarily vibes with. My son absolutely loves it. He will do Headspace every night at bedtime. So I think all we can do is
Model.
Act out the positive habits that we want to model for our kids, and hope that they pick out the ones that they feel support their own well-being.
Definitely. I'm just going to take this moment in this episode to do the inspirational pause. Ways of getting some downtime, some very common, could be reading or watching TV. Are you a reader? Do you read?
I do love reading, absolutely. And I'm always torn. I seem to go through periods of reading kind of fiction, which has now become almost like a holiday treat. And then I read a lot of nonfiction, I suppose, so kind of books around the topic of mindfulness, happiness, gratitude, the latest, books that come out on the topic. So at the moment, I'm very much in the nonfiction period of reading. I've just finished, and I like to read around my topic. So for example, there's a couple of quotes in the Junior Journal by a coach called John Wooden. And I've been fascinated by him. So I've just finished reading a book of his where he shares his kind of life lessons and learnings from coaching basketball. And basketball is not a sport I vibe with at all, but his insight as a coach and life lessons have been really wonderful and inspiring. So I've just finished reading that. And I'm about to start. I've got Ryan Holiday's latest book, Lives of the Stoics, waiting to read. I've been a big fan of Ryan's books for a while now. He has managed to bring like ancient Stoic philosophy into modern day life and apply the writings of Marcus Aurelius and the likes, and somehow make it resonate and connect with what we're going through today. And I really enjoy his book. So I love the fact that he's actually gone in, talked about the lives of the Stoics. So I'm looking forward to reading that.
Oh, nice. And the summer's coming. So we all tend to get a bit more reading done in the summer, I think.
That is the plan.
And what about things that you like to watch? Do you watch much TV?
I mean, definitely, I think with lockdown, everyone's Netflix accounts have been busier than usual. Because we don't tend to watch a lot of TV, but what we've started doing recently, because obviously, we're busy with the business, we've got the kids, and so my husband and I like work together. On a normal week, we don't necessarily have that much downtime, which is not work related. So actually what we've started doing is like of an evening, say like 9:30, we say like, hey, we're going to watch an hour of TV together. And we try and work our way through a series or something that we actually sit down and enjoy together. So that's been really nice. We just started watching Mare of Eastown.
Oh, no, I haven't heard of that.
You've seen that one.
Do you have similar tastes?
I think most of... Well, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily, but we have managed to find things that we have both enjoyed, though I tend to be a bit more squeamish. So we just finished Your Honor, which was a bit of a kind of thriller or crime. And then we're just watching Mare of Eastown, which I'm really enjoying. But again, I think people are ahead of us. So I'm having to make sure I don't get spoilers.
Okay, so that might be one that Simon, my husband, and I can sit together. We've watched a few, but he is much more towards the thrillers, I suppose, and I am squeamish too. So sometimes it's difficult to find stuff. Ozark was one of our favorites that we both enjoyed.
Oh, okay.
That's really good. And do you do much listening? Do you listen to podcasts or music?
Yeah, I love listening to podcasts. I kind of, again, go through phases where I kind of almost binge or feel the need to do a lot of that type of listening. And then I go through phases where things are quite busy and I don't really want to bring that much more information into my brain. But when I do listen, I absolutely love like Dr. Chatterjee's podcast. I love the Deliciously Ella one. I love listening to Happier with Gretchen Rubin. She does a great podcast with her sister. It's just hilarious. And it's almost like listening to a kind of like almost like a magazine. So those are the kinds that I like. So they tend to be, again, kind of, there's learning involved as opposed to it being kind of more fiction or entertainment.
Yeah. And you mentioned Headspace. What apps would you not be without, or any gadgets or props?
Ooh, gadgets or props. So I wouldn't be without my
obviously your journal.
So I've been using our teen edition, and now I have my own grown-up one to start using. I also have a paper planner, so not a journal, but more like to organize my work day and work week. Absolutely crucial. In terms of apps, I love the Headspace one. That's kind of been a constant for years. And then for the rest, I'm not a big app user as such, obviously, apart from like we say, like if I want to listen to music or podcasts. But the other apps that are absolutely core would be ones related to the business and how we run the business and how we work as a team. Those would be the most important ones I go into every day.
Oh, well, great. Thank you for those. Coming back to the present moment, and you're just about to launch this adult version of your journal. How have you always journaled then? Have you been a journaler for quite some time? And how has it helped you?
Yeah, because there's all sorts of different ways of journaling, I suppose. So definitely through childhood, I was always encouraged to keep travel journals. We traveled a lot as a family, so I have boxes and cupboards filled with travel journals, and that then turned more into scrapbooks as I got older. But really, it was a lovely kind of very mindful way of just recording everything that was going on in life. And then what really transformed it for me kind of more recently was discovering the whole concept of gratitude journaling. And I think really the gratitude journaling is what made the biggest impact for me. I could really feel the benefits of it. And then when I started looking into the science behind it, I just thought it was so fascinating how something so simple has been researched and studied, and how they can explain why it has the impact it has. And that to me was just really powerful. And I felt, well, that's something I just thought was so important to introduce to our children earlier, as early as possible, really.
And the prompts of the journal for adults as well. I mean, you're working to a space that's contained. No, so if you're a beginner journaler, someone who doesn't really know how to start the process of keeping a journal, but there is a calling for you want to write, you want the action of writing, and the prompts will definitely guide you and help you and keep it so it's manageable and sustainable.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, some people are great with free journaling and blank pages. I personally have never managed it. I do like the prompts. I think they're helpful. They give you a structure and they kind of, there's never too much space to fill out. And yet, if you wanted to write more, the page works for you to have a bit of space for free journaling. But you can use that space for other things as well. So you can continue your gratitude list, or if you wanted to do some doodling or just kind of get stuff out of your head, there is space there. But the prompts are more around kind of, well, at the top, we always have like a positive quote or positive affirmation just to kind of set the intention and the mindset. Then there's the gratitude practice, and then you can either expand on that. And then we also have our emoji of the day. And I think that's really important to just stop and go, okay, how have I been feeling? So, and also like sometimes we have all the emotions in one day. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, you know, part of our happiness is understanding that there are ups and downs and how we handle them. But we don't often have the space to acknowledge or reflect that. So we kind of put on a brave face and push through and everything's fine. And how are you? Oh, I'm okay. But actually, maybe you're not okay. Yeah. And how do you actually share that and acknowledge that? And it's really important to have a space to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And what other forms of self-care? Because I would say that journaling is definitely a form of self-care. What other forms of self-care do you practice for your own mental and physical health?
I think for me, anything where I can carve out time for myself. And I think exercise is a really important one. And I think I've really changed my attitude towards exercise recently. And I think people like Joe Wicks have done such an amazing job of that. So I don't naturally vibe to exercise. And also exercise in the past has been linked to kind of, I don't know, weight loss or health. And I'm like, well, I'm healthy and I don't need to lose weight. Do you know what I mean? So like exercise, I never really got it. But now obviously we understand the amazing impact that exercise has on our mental well-being. And so, you know, taking time for exercise and feeling the benefits of that is hugely important. Obviously I practice mindfulness with the Headspace app. I use my journal, take time to just get out in nature, and, you know, enjoy going out for a walk, just switching off, you know, just sitting with a book.
Yeah.
It's good self-care.
Definitely. And that brings me into the next question about boundaries. I mean, working mother and all that's going on, like we even discussed at the beginning, the kids are home from school. How do you like define those boundaries as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think it's hard. We certainly don't always get it right. And I think all I can do is be open with the kids. You know, they totally know that right now we're going through a bit of a crazy work period, and they can see that we're, you know, positively engaging in it. And so I try and talk to them openly about, I need to work, or I'm on my phone or my computer more than I'd like to be, but these are the reasons. It's, you know, there's a reason for that. So, you know, the boundaries at the moment have been hard. Though what's nice is now we're heading into summer. You know, I made a promise to them that like in August, for example, I'm doing a big experiment. You heard it here first. So my big experiment in August is that technically I don't want to work in August, but realistically that's not possible. But I figure if I organize myself and my team, and we've been building up to this, I can dip in and do an hour of very focused work a day. And that should be enough to keep things ticking over, which means that during August, I should be able to have really free time to really spend time with the kids and also do more stuff that I want to do, like read the books and things that I just don't have the time for when we're kind of full on in work mode.
Would you say that you work a 7-day week since starting the Happy Self Journal?
It has been a bit like that. And this is one of the challenges. So the business is like turned into a global e-commerce business. So it's literally stuff gets sold 24/7. And that means that people will email in about their order or leave a comment on social media in different time zones, literally any day of the week. And, you know, there is much expectation these days that you offer. Obviously customer service is important, but people don't like to wait around for an answer. So, we do try and structure the teams so that people are, looking at and dealing with stuff, in a timely manner. And that is really hard, getting used to structuring work so that everything's looked after timely, but we're still respecting our own needs to work a normal work day. And I think we're getting better at it, but it's definitely a challenge.
Mm-hmm. What would you say was the biggest thing or the biggest lesson that you've taken away from, let's call it 2020? The year 2020.
Oh, what a year. Oh my God.
Has it been a successful year for you, would you see?
Yes, it was a good year. I mean, there's much to be grateful
from your
for.
personal
I suppose.
perspective, like I'm zoning
Yes.
in on you.
Yes, I think there was a lot to be grateful for last year. We obviously we were as a family all safe together at home, and we really cherished the extra time we got to spend with each other. Whereas normally there's a complicated, as with everyone, school run, work juggle arrangement. Not having that was really lovely. We were really lucky to live in the Kent countryside. So even though we were in lockdown, we were connected with nature, and we were incredibly grateful that we were, easily able to spend time outdoors. The business grew last year. We started off not knowing what would happen, that our supply chain would break, that our warehouses might have to shut down, and that we wouldn't be able to ship our orders, but everything managed to work. And mental health became a bigger topic that people were willing to discuss and engage with. So it was positive that we were able to step up and say we have something that can help. And what was really lovely for us is that we were able to apply for an Innovate UK grant. They did a kind of small business. They had a pot of money, and they asked businesses who could address issues relating to the pandemic to apply for funding. So we felt that we could address some of the mental health issues. And so we managed to get 2 rounds of funding. And off the back of that, we were able to send thousands of journals for free to kids on free school meals who were able to then receive one of our journals. So that was a very positive thing that we were able to do in the middle of what was really a hideous year.
Yeah,
so there were lots of positives that came out of it.
And it's really important that we teach ourselves and our kids to celebrate daily and the little things and just being together. And like you said, the fact that you're all well, healthy. So you kind of mentioned, but how have your kids reacted to the journal then? They must be very proud.
I think they're proud. I'd like to think they're proud. I think they think it's kind of cool that the product that they helped create has been successful, and they see their friends using it, which is kind of cool. And my daughter's school even kind of put in an order to us. They bought it for the school, and so she was really proud that happened. Yeah. And that was really cool. So yes, no, it's been really positive, and I think it's given them a lot of confidence because we were able to speak as a family about sometimes you need to take a risk, and we didn't know it could have been a big failure. We followed our gut instinct. We took calculated risks. We have to step outside of our comfort zone. They see me do things that I find difficult, and and that's good. I need them to see that because life for them, their work life will, we don't even know
what's going to be. No,
what that's going to be like. One of the things I'm really interested in is this whole idea of like, how do we make our kids world ready when we know that the job market is changing and that the types of jobs they will go into probably don't even exist. No. So it's about having the kind of just the mental resilience and the mindset to try stuff out, I suppose.
Brilliant mentor for them. And how do you see the vision of the journal developing in the future? Do you constantly have new ideas? Is that your favorite part of the business?
I love I love working on the kind of product ideas. So I've loved working on like now the grown-up journal. So definitely we have kind of more ideas in the pipeline, but I think now that the grown-up one is out, we need to just kind of step back and look at other sides of the business and just get everything working well. But yeah, I think the kind of long term, I would like to see us as, creating beautiful journals that help all ages now, kind of instill those positive habits that have been shown to support our happiness and well-being. We like to do that through gorgeous journals. So that's kind of our...
It's wonderful because it also helps parents who might not necessarily have the vocab or the know-how to communicate and to discuss emotions. Maybe in their childhood, they didn't have someone that chatted to them about their feelings or what was going on inside of them. So to really have created something that is a massive resource for those people, well, for everybody, it's a really wonderful, wonderful thing. So well done. And my very last question is, what would be the one piece of advice that you would like your kids to carry in their hearts forever?
That's a lovely question. I think ultimately all you could want is for them to feel that they are enough, that it's kind of this idea that they can do hard things, they can do what they want, if that's what they decide. And so kind of also feeling, I always say this to them, like if they go into an exam or whatever, it's like, I am ready. Like we often can put things on hold or not be sure or think we're not ready or not good enough or need to do a bit more work, and just actually believing like, no, I am ready. I am enough. I can do this, to me are like really important kind of mindsets, shifts that I'd love them to carry with them.
That's wonderful. Francesca, thank you so, so much for this time to discuss these amazing things that you're doing, and keep doing them because it's very, very necessary, so very important.
Oh, thank you. It's been lovely speaking to you.
So listening to Francesca share her journey, the belief she had in her idea and bringing the entire family on board is a great message for getting our kids to be future ready. The expansion of possibilities and the unimaginable changes that are inevitably unfolding. Offering such an opportunity as she has for her children to learn through real life experiences is an invaluable gift. Modelling and sharing the struggles of stretching past that comfort zone and being open to that conversation in front of the children is a real life chance for them to get a taste of yes or no from the inner authority to help with their own decision making. This will give them a powerful ability to make choices that are right for them in the future, all based on that presence in their current experience. And I love it. It's like a long-term work experience. Bringing them into meetings and having their valuable input is such a blessing for you and for them. I think we can really take inspiration from this and begin to include our children a little more into certain conversations and decision makings as a family, to feel into roles they may rise and flourish from being part of, while at the same time continue to use that inner knowing we all have as children, but that gets conditioned out of us as adults as we begin to believe it's more important to use our rational mind for decisions. And as we all know, our best decisions are never rational. We need to be a little less mental and a little more physical as we make decisions, as our bodies will always lead to the truest path for ourselves. I'm very curious about this at the moment as my youngest continues to ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my eldest is always looking for opportunities to learn and grow and try new things. She wants to be an actress right now, so perhaps we should be moving to LA, hey? Anyway, how do you make your decisions? Is it with your head, your heart, your gut, or intuition pushes you forward? I'd love to know. Until next time, tune into that part of you that is your inner authority, and I hope you move with it in your choices this week. Until next time, I wish you all the love and take care.